Today, we're going to talk a bit about design for your slide. But first, I want to do a quick introduction about how you can use things like the key message or storytelling in your actual presentation. So, if I start a presentation, like many students and even professors start a presentation and they say, today this is what we're going to do. Today we're going to talk about the importance of being able to make effective presentations, a review of relevant theories of communication. Everyone here is staring at it like, really? Do we have to do this? All right. This kind of slide. Most of you at 10 a.m. are probably going to feel a bit like this. What's the point? Before, when people gave presentations 60, 70 years ago, your audience usually looks like this. They come to listen to you speak, they dress up nicely, there's nothing to distract them. Alright? For most of you, when you give a presentation now in front of your classmates, and also in real life, your audience is usually going to look like this. Alright? If your talk is not interesting, if in the first 2 minutes you cannot get their attention, people can get on Facebook, they can get on the internet, if they have Wi-Fi, you're done. Alright? TED Talks are 18 minutes because even TED believes the smartest, most interesting, well-educated people in the world can only keep your attention for about 20 minutes. Okay? But the truth is if in the first 30 seconds or 1 minute you cannot make people find something interesting about your talk, they will also not listen to you, even for 20 minutes. Alright? So, we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can start a talk. 3 ways that you can begin a speech and get a little more interest. So, the first one we'll talk about has to do with the very first week. What did we do? All right. We have time? Try again.
So I didn't always make my living from music. For about the 5 years after graduating from an upstanding liberal arts university, this was my day job. I was a self-employed living statue called the 8-Foot Bride, and I love telling people I did this for a job because everybody always wants to know who are these freaks in real life. Hello. I painted myself white one day, stood on a box, put a hat or a can at my feet, and when someone came by and dropped in money, I handed them a flower and some intense eye contact. And if they didn't take the flower, I threw in a gesture of sadness and longing as they walked away. So I had the most profound encounters with people, especially lonely people who looked like they hadn't talked to anyone in weeks. And we would get this beautiful moment of prolonged eye contact being allowed in a city street.
So this is how Amanda Palmer begins her speech. She tells a story of what she used to do. And this story actually talks about the main point of her talk, which is about human connection. That even though she's quite a famous musician, that the most important thing that she creates is human connection. To meet with other people, learn about other people. But if she had just come up here and said, connection is good, everyone should be connected, doesn't matter what you do, most people will not listen. All right? Second way that you can start a talk is you can ask a question. Most people assume a presentation is you stand here and you just give people information. But it goes back to, why are you giving them information? Why should they care? Sometimes you need to ask a question that other people would go, oh, this is an interesting question, or oh, I didn't think about that. All right? Does everyone know who he is? Well, maybe a little too young to know who he is. Quite famous. He started out as an actor. Now he's a very famous businessman.
Why don't I ask a question? Who in here wants to be successful? Raise your hand if you want to succeed. Because I sure as hell do. What's preventing you from raising your hand? All right, anyway. Second question, and the more important one. Who's lying? Because I'm pretty sure if you go out there and you ask people who wants to be successful, 99% of the people will tell you, I want to succeed. I want to be the best basketball player. I want to be the best hockey player. I want to be the best artist, engineer, whatever. They will talk. But most of you want to succeed. But are you truly being honest with yourself? Whereas you found your passion. You know your strengths and weaknesses. Where to place yourself in the market, how you want people to see you, and how to project yourself in the market. I founded this company because at the age of 22 and 3, between that time, I was on set, on a movie set.
So here, he's going to talk about how to succeed as a personal brand. He's going to talk about how to do a market thing. But again, he doesn't start by saying, I am going to tell you how I succeed. Because then he's just one more celebrity. Here, he asks a question and makes people think. How many of you want to succeed? Okay. How many of you are live? Which means, how many of you have done the work, done the research, thought about, and continue to know what it takes to succeed? All right. So, here, he starts by asking a question. He doesn't tell you what he thinks. He asks a question, so you understand where he's coming from. Surprise them. We'll talk about this one different time.
I want to discuss with you this afternoon why you're going to fail to have a great career. I'm an economist. I do dismal. End of the day, it's ready for dismal remarks. I only want to talk to those of you who want a great career. I know some of you have already decided you want a good career. You're going to fail too, because, goodness, you're all cheery about failing. Canadian group, undoubtedly. Those trying to have good careers are going to fail, because really, good jobs are now disappearing.
So here, he actually uses an opposite thing. Most people, when they give a TED Talk or give a talk, they're usually very, very positive. You are going to succeed. I will give you the tools to be the best in the world. He's doing the opposite. He's going, what do you want to do? Oh no, you're going to fail. And I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to fail. But his talk is actually about, if you know how you will fail, you can find a different way to succeed. All right, I want to show you one more talk.
Let me ask you a question about being great at something in general. What do you think is the number one thing that stands in the way of us being great? Of us being great at anything. What do you think the number one thing is that stands in the way of us being great at leadership or something else? You say yourself? Okay. Confidence? All right. Those are all good answers. All wrong, but all good answers. They're not wrong. They're just not the number one thing. The number one thing is not what you think. See, I used to work for an internet company, and I wanted to go full-time into professional speaking. That was my goal. That was my dream. Raise your hand if you have a goal or a dream. Raise your hand if you want to do anything in life. So I went to the vice president, young guy, new guy to the company. I said, look, John, I'm going to be leaving because it's always been my dream to be a full-time professional speaker. He said, that's your dream, Craig? I said, yes, it is. He said, well, that's great. I really admire you for having one, but you can't leave. And I said, well, wait a minute. What do you mean I can't leave? He said, because we've been thinking about it, and we're going to raise your salary up to this. And salary means the same thing in the VA, right? You see my dilemma? I said, look, that's really flattering, but this is not a financial decision. This is about my dream. I call this a dream decision. He said, okay, I understand. I really do. But how about if we raise your salary up to this? I said, this is not a financial decision. This is a dream. Do you know he raised it 4 times? I kid you not. He kept saying, we're going to raise your salary to this. I said, this is not a financial decision. This is a dream decision. He said, okay, Craig, how about if we raise your salary to well above 6 figures? I said, dreams are overrated. Come on now. 6 figures? That's a lot of money back then. That's good money today. Fill up my gas tank for a week on that car. I said, but John, listen, before I say yes, I got to go home and talk to my wife about this. So I went home. Oh, well, what happened? Yeah, exactly. So I went home to my wife. I said, honey, I just don't know what to do. What should I do? What should I do? And my wife looked up at me with her big brown eyes and said, take the money, fool. That's kind of true. But if you'd been sitting beside my wife and me just a few minutes later on our black leather sofa with the chocolate chip cookies baking in the background, you would have heard her say something that can absolutely change your life. I know it changed mine. We talked about this a little bit earlier. She said, Craig, this is all you've ever talked about. Ever since we met, this is all you wanted. I don't care how much they try to compensate you, Craig. Your dream is not for sale. That's deep, isn't it? That's deep. Yeah. Because you know what the number one thing is? Most people think that the thing that gets in between them and their goal of being great at something is some bad obstacle. Like a lack of time or a lack of talent or a lack of opportunity. That's not it. The number one thing that gets in between you and your goal is not something bad. It's something good that we settle for. Sometimes the enemy of the best is the good. So I have a question for you. Are you too good to be great? Are you too comfortable in your routine, good life to ever keep stretching and reach the great one? I doubt it, because you wouldn't be in this program if you wanted to. But don't let the good get in the way of the best. There's always room for improvement. So I looked at my wife, I said, see, girl, that's why I married you. My dream is not for sale. That's what you said, right? So I went back in there the next day. I looked at Vice President in his eyes, and I was firm. And I looked him directly in his face, and I was bold. And I said to him, my wife said my dream is not for sale. But a lot of great things happen because of it. Not because there's anything special about me, but because there's something very special about my wife told me. Don't let the good get in the way of the best. Don't let the good get in the way of the best.
So here, this guy actually used two of these. He tells a story, and he asks a question. But again, if he had started his talk and just said, the number one reason that most people fail to be great is because they find something good. And now I'm going to tell you how to avoid this. It doesn't have any meaning. But he tells a story about, in his life, in his experience, when did this happen? He said 6 figures, by the way. His salary above 6 figures. 6 figures. So, in the US, he was trying to get paid like 100,000 US dollars a year. That's like 3 million NT a year. So he said, his boss said, I'll give you more than 6 figures. And he said, no. So, again, he is trying to make a point. This is my story to why you should believe me. Someone offered me this much money and I said no because I want to become a speaker. Because that is a good job. I want a great career. Then he asked the question, are you too good to be great? Is good enough okay? Alright. In Taiwan, I believe this is true, but in Taiwan, I have a bigger theory as to why most people in this room will be afraid to do something great. And most of it is because of your parents. In Taiwan, the #1 reason you will not take a risk to do something great is because your parents want you to have a good life. Most of you probably hear this. Find a good job, find a good husband, a good wife, have a family, find a stable salary. In Taiwan, I actually believe the #1 reason most students will not achieve something great is because your family will tell you, find something good. Okay? But this is his point. Good, for some people, is okay. But if you want to do great, the hardest thing to let go is something good. Alright? Now, even though today we're going to talk about design, we're going to start without Alright, we'll talk about a few things in a minute. But very first thing, I'm going to talk about something your professors talk about all the time, which is how to begin preparing a PowerPoint. What is the #1 thing most people waste a lot of time doing when making a presentation? What takes the most time to prepare when you make a presentation? Decoration, okay. Yeah, we're getting there. People designing, what else? What takes a lot of time when you're making your PowerPoint? If someone wants to say they're a good student, say, oh, I'm practicing hard, or oh, I'm making sure my PowerPoint is very good and in time. Most of you will spend all your time Googling different pictures, or different images, or different pretty things to put in your PowerPoint. Most of your time in your PowerPoint will be spent doing this. Okay? That's okay to have a pretty PowerPoint, but the most important thing when you give a presentation is your content. What are you talking about? What are you saying? What is the order you are saying? It doesn't matter how beautiful, how pretty your PPT is. If you have nothing to say, it doesn't matter. Okay? So, the thing that you should always start with is an outline. Now, I'm sure your professors tell you to make an outline for all your speeches and your papers and everything. Most people don't do that. I don't do that. But what I'll talk to you about first today is how do you design an outline? Ten slides. Very, very simple. A pitch deck is what is used in Silicon Valley to get investment. And a pitch deck's rules are very simple. In a pitch deck, you get 10 slides, 5 minutes. That's it. This 10-slide, 5-minute presentation decides whether companies get millions and millions of US dollars. So this is not some, this is a simple way to present. This is the standard. 10 slides, 5 minutes. Okay. Why am I using this? Because your end presentation will be 5 to 10 minutes. So, in 5 to 10 minutes, it's not about presenting all the information, everything you have researched about the company or about the brand. It's about the key information, how to get it quickly, and how to make it important. All right? 10 slides. Very simple. First slide should be your introduction. What we just talked about. Tell a story. Give some interesting information. Ask a question. Tell people why they should listen to you. Make them wake up. That's it. Introduction. Second slide. Very, very simple. What's the problem? Okay. Even you're presenting a company, even you're talking about a brand, there's always a problem. Why did the brand start? What problem are they trying to fix? Okay. Because your third slide is the solution. Okay? Most companies and brands don't start just to make money. And the ones that start just to make money usually don't last very long. Why? Because most products, brands, and companies who last a very long time found a problem, found something that people want to fix, and they made a solution. Alright? Even talking about this. For Apple computers. When Apple computers starts in the 1980s, what's the problem? The problem is most people who use a computer in the 80s and 90s need to have a computer science degree. Computers are very hard to understand. You have to write in DOS, you have to write in a programming language, even just to open something like Microsoft Word. So, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak invent the GUI so that anyone can use a computer. So you can click around. You don't need to learn how to program. So the problem is computers aren't for everyone. Steve Jobs kept this. After he comes back to Apple in the 1990s, he doesn't make his computers faster. He doesn't make his computers more powerful. He doesn't make things better when it comes to computer power. The problem is, again, who uses a computer most of the time? Geeks, essentially. People who love technology or are willing to buy technology. The problem is there's no computer everyone can use. There's no computer everyone wants to buy. So what does he do? He makes his computers have color so that people will want a personal, colorful computer. Even they don't know how to use a computer. They buy it because it's pretty. That's his solution. Okay? So think about this. When you are introducing a company, what is the problem the company is trying to fix? And what is the company's solution? How are they going to fix this problem? Okay? The problem could just be, for example, Coach. Coach tried to be the same as Gucci and LV and to be a very high-end bag. But Coach was losing a lot of money. The problem is there's not enough customers who can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a bag. So the first thing Coach did is they lowered their price. They lowered their price so that middle income families, you don't need to be super rich to buy it. You can have a little bit of money and buy a Coach bag. This is their solution. Now, they're one of the most profitable companies in the fashion world. All right? So, fourth slide. should I listen to you? You tell me this company found a problem, this company solved the problem. Who are you? Why should you talk about this company? Do you work there? If you don't work there, talk about how much time did you spend? Where did you find the information? Who did you talk to? Why are you the expert? Who are you? Okay? Say, this is not even about your end of semester presentation. Any talk you give, any presentation in any class, you can follow this. Your teacher tells you to write a paper about the theories of linguistics. Introduction, about the theory. What is the problem? Before the theory, what do you get? How does the theory of linguistics, the theory of this, solve that problem? Who are you to be talking about this? Anything you can use this for. Okay? 5. Okay? 5. Key details, key ideas. The most important thing. If I'm going to talk about how this company made the solution, you only have 10 minutes. You cannot talk about the history of the company. You cannot say in 1973 this company started with blah blah blah, and then in 1974 they did what, and 1975. No. Most companies don't even work that way. Most companies have a few times, a few decisions, a few ideas that matter. That's your job to find out. And then you can do this in one slide. You don't need to talk 10 slides about the history of the company. If it's important, you can talk about it in one slide. Okay? Six, competition. This is probably not the only company in the world that does it. It's not the only restaurant in the world that does it. Who else does this? Why are they better? Why are they worse? What happened? Competition. Okay? Again, when we talked about the failure story before, or we talked about your things that you are not good at are as important as the things you are good at, is because of this. If you just say, this is the best company in the world because reasons, who should listen to you? Who else is trying to do what this company is doing? Same, if you are introducing yourself, remember, if you do a job interview, if you do a graduate school interview, and you should talk about this. Why am I different? Not even better. Why am I different from the other 100 people you talk to today? This is important. If you go and say, I'm the hardest working student, I'm the smartest student, I'm the best student, and I will be the best for your school, who should believe you? Why should they care? Talk about it. Other students may do A, but I can do B better than any of them. Other students may have studied or worked in these places. I was busy traveling or volunteering or getting experience somewhere else. Talk about other people, not negatively. Don't say, the other students are stupid, okay? This doesn't make you look good. Talk about what other people do, and whether A, you do it better, or B, you do it differently. Talk about your competition, okay? Seventh, talk about money. All right? If you're talking about companies, talk about money. But talk about a definition of success. Some companies only care about how big, how much money you can make over and over again. All right, Amazon is this way. Jeff Bezos starts Amazon. He wants it to be the biggest company he can possibly think of. Thousands of employees. He wants to be the largest online retailer in the world. To the point where he's now the largest store in the world. But this is his definition of success. To him, success is, I am the biggest in the world. Okay? There's another guy, DHH, who starts a company called Basecamp. Jeff Bezos actually funded Basecamp. But DHH said, I want 50 employees, no more. In fact, if he has a choice, I want 20 employees, and that's it. For him, success is not about money to be the biggest in the world. Success to him is about having the team that for the next 20 years can make consistent profit. Everybody gets paid, everyone has a good job, and everyone has a happy time in the company. And to him, that's 30 employees. He doesn't even like having 50 employees. But he also runs one of the largest programming platforms in the world, Ruby on Rails. So, not just talk about money, talk about, to your company, what is the definition of success? Okay? If your company is something like McDonald's, success is that they have 200 stores in every city in every world. Starbucks, here's a Starbucks across the street, here's a Starbucks, success. 7-Eleven is the same. But other companies, this is not success. I want to be the top restaurant in the world. I don't care if there's 50. In fact, I just want one, but I'm going to be the best. Okay? Success changes, depends on who you're talking about. Again, when you introduce yourself, what is your definition of success? Is success to be president or CEO of the company? Of a multi-million, you want to be the next president of Google. To you, this is success. Or is to you success is that I want to run a company. Just, me and my 5 best friends, we're going to run a successful company for the next 30 years. Introduce yourself. Success is different. Again, what makes you different than your competition? Your competition may want to join a company, but their goal is not to work in the company. My goal is come here, get experience for 2 years, and I'm leaving. For you, maybe that's not success. For you is I want to become a manager in this company, and I want a stable job to take care of my family for the next 20 years. This makes you different. Okay? Know the company culture. Eight. Growth. And this matches with 7. How do you intend to grow? If I'm talking about a company, again, if my goal, this is successful to me, and I am here, what am I going to do as a company to get to here? For you personally, too, growth is important. If you tell a company, I graduated from university, I'm done. I don't need to learn anything else. I have every skill, I know everything I need for the next 50 years. That company will laugh at you. Okay? Grow. What are you going to do to get to your goal? What do you need to learn? What do you need to try? What experience should you go get to get to here? Okay? Future. Paint me a picture of the future. Where do you want to be in 3 months? Where do you want to be in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 3 years? These are not abstract questions. Most people will ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And, in 5 years I want a family, I want all that. This is great. But actually, if you make a goal, in 1 year, I am going to learn A, you can plan that. You don't need to sit and pray or go to the temple and say, I hope in 1 year this will happen. You can plan that. 1 year is very short. What are you going to do? What are you going to learn? For example, if your goal is before you die, you want to travel the world, make an actual plan. Decide. There are like 230 countries in the world. You want to see all of them, and you're going to live for the next, say, 70 years. How many countries every year should you go visit? How much is it going to cost you? This is not just a dream. You can literally do it. You could decide, I want to go to Japan, Korea, and China in the next year. How much money do you need? How much time? And where are you going to go? It's really not that hard to plan. Most people forget this. When you talk about the future, it's not a big dream. Talk of the futures, you can plan. In the next 10 years, what do I want to do? Every year, what do I need to do to get there? Okay. Final conclusion. Repeat it again. What's the problem? What's the solution? Repeat again. This is how my solution fixed the problem. 10 slides. That's all you need. Seriously. 5 minutes, 10 slides. Any presentation you ever need to give, you can do this way. And if you can't, you're missing the point. When I talk about make an outline, when you start a PowerPoint presentation, the very first thing you should do is make 10 blank. No text, no pictures, no nothing. 10 slides. Follow this. Answer the question. You don't need to write a paragraph. You don't even need to write a sentence. Same as last week when we put the sticky notes on the wall. Same idea. For the first slide, what do I want to say? I want to write a story. Ooh, story. And in my story, I'm going to talk about what? Sticky note. Ooh, done. 1 word. 3 words. That's all you need. What's the problem? Don't write me 1 paragraph. Don't write me a huge 10-paragraph paper about what's the problem. Very clearly, very simply, what's the problem you're answering? Okay? What's the solution? 1 or 2 sentences, maximum. What's the solution? Just 10 slides, 10 sentences. 10 ideas, and then make your design. Because why? If you start to design and find pictures and make it pretty, and you get to here and you go, oh, I don't want to talk about this anymore. This isn't what I think. Guess what? You need to redesign, recreate 5 slides. If you make an outline with 1 or 2 words, all you have to do is change a sentence. Redo a sentence. That's it. Okay? The other reason that I use this, and I'll show you in a second why, is because if you use a format like this, there are many, many formats. There's many, many templates. But if you use something simple like this 100 times, you don't need to spend a lot of time memorizing, practicing, preparing, doing everything each time. I have a speech, I have to spend how many hours practicing, I have to prepare how many hours. If you do this over and over and over again, you already know slide 1 is introduction. Next, slide 2 is problem. Next, slide 3 is solution. You will look like a professional presenter, and you never need to look at your slide. Most people, when they present this. My back is to you, and I read my slides. Why? Because I don't know what is there. I don't remember what is there. And to remember it, I need to practice over and over and over and over and over again. If I know every single time what am I going to say, I can look at you the whole time. And I don't need words. I can have pictures. I can have 10 pictures that explain what I have to say. I'll show you an example. All right. speech I gave for Isaac, talking about starting your own business, about being an entrepreneur. At the beginning of this speech, again, I ask a question. What is a dream? And back to it. What is your dream? Is your dream to have freedom, to start your own business, live however you want to live? Is your dream about service, how to take care of other people, how to volunteer, help others, run an NGO? Or is your dream about leadership? Is your dream about how to bring people forward, how to inspire, how to become the head of a company? All right? It doesn't matter if your dream is about freedom, about service, about leadership. There are 5 key things that you need to think about on your way there. All right? The first thing that you need to think about is, what is your dream? What is your idea? What is the thing that you want to achieve? Clearly. Again, not just abstract. If you want to travel the world, what does that mean? Do you want to go to every country? Do you want to go to Iraq or Iran? For some people, maybe they think it's too dangerous. So travel the world is not as broad as you would think. Second is, what are you going to do to get there? How much hard work, what kind of planning, and what kind of struggle will it take to get there? Third thing you need to think about is failure. On the road to success, people will fail over and over again. Jeff Bezos, when he creates Amazon, will admit he had millions of ideas that failed miserably. He lost millions. Even Google, with Google Glass, they spent millions of dollars. They promoted it, they advertised it, and it failed. But they were okay. Next thing we have to talk about is how to do it together. A dream you dream alone is not a dream. A dream you dream together is a reality. It's about community. It's about a team. It's about building things together. Finally, what do you need to keep going? In English, we have a phrase, talk is cheap. It's easy to talk. Talk costs you no money. How do you move forward? How do you go ahead? These 5 principles together are what it takes to start a company. All right. In that speech, there are no words here. I don't even need to look at this slide. I have given this speech only twice, not hundreds of times. But I know exactly the order, because I have designed presentations this way over and over again. 2, notice, most people give a speech. They will look at you and they will read slides. 2 things. 1, if someone is reading, you don't need to be there. If it's just words, you can just email them the PDF and you can go home and you're done. All right? If you give a presentation, your presentation is there to help you. My pictures are very, very simple. But each picture has a meaning. So when I talk about dreams, you just look at the picture and then you look back at me. If I have words about a dream is blah, 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 you're reading. I'm not here. You're just reading. I have no purpose. But here is a simple picture. I want to talk about dreams and ideas. The photo helps you think about this. If I talk about hard work, about the strength, okay? I don't have words, and my picture is pretty simple. Now, some women might be like, oh, I wish my boyfriend was so strong and good looking. But hopefully, you look quickly. 2, I talk about failure. The photo just matches what I am talking about, this feeling. But again, you look at picture, you have a feeling of failure, and you go back, listen to me. Do not read my slide. Okay? I talk about community, I talk about this. Also notice, every time I have a picture, the old picture is gray. Why? I don't want you to look at it. I want you to take the idea, listen to me. This should always be your goal with the presentation. The purpose of your PowerPoint is Give someone a feeling. If there's important numbers, important information, only write the important information. Do not make them read your slide. The important number, boom, highlight, red, easy to see. Now, listen to me again. Important information, important person, picture, boom, look at it, now look at me. Don't read my slide, don't look at this, okay? And you can do this. Highlight what you want to show. Highlight what you want to show, okay? This may look complicated, it's really not. And it's a template. I use this style of presentation so many times. All I have to do is change picture, change picture, change picture. Same here. This thing. This slide, all I have to do is change picture, change word, change picture, change. I've used this, I don't even know how many times. It's clean, it's simple, it looks nice, very easy to read. But I made it one time. I spent maybe 20 minutes to design this one time. Now, every time I make a presentation, I copy and paste. I change color, I change picture, I change word. It takes me like 30 seconds. Okay? All right. But these are simple. 2. When I ask a question, it's not, I don't write a bullet point of everything I do. Ask a question, one question. Blank background, no photo, no nothing. Why? This is important. If it is not important, then you can put whatever you want. If it's important, make people only see that. Okay? If I have questions, I have things I want to show you, again, one picture, one sentence, and highlight what matters. What matters. Okay? We'll talk about that later. All right, I will give you your 10-minute break. Give you your 10-minute break. Come back by 11:20, and we're going to talk a little bit more about design. And I will show you examples of where you can find information on design. So, yeah, take 10 minutes, take a break, take a nap, go to the bathroom, do what you need to do. 11:20.
网络地址，我没有写。网络邮件，联络地址。啊，因为我都留了连电子邮箱的电话号码。
你可以写下来。
写下来。那就这样。
就是那个他可以可以。
那从那里就好。我还没有上传。对，就是你自己上传到 YouTube，然后名字要是同意就是好的。是要说上传？是上传来的？不是吧？怎么？建立。那我们等下问一下，是没有讲，按手机，然后卖身，然后我们就先卖身契，好吧？雪兔。学校电脑也可以。学校电脑也可以。可不可以？对啊，我上抖音来还不起。
其实没有那么大吧，基本不是，基本不是那么大。
有啊，
我下载现在也才200多。
那还不错。
是，可是我卡的是那个。
因为他们生日，对，帮我生日，没有什么，我没办。为什么可以去？
是由我那边开钱，我那边开的钱。
你这边呢？
不是我的电脑，不是我那边电脑。可是我开了，因为我下载下来好像是200多，这个我记错才200多。我现在已经把它转成那个，我给它转成别的格式。你不是要看那个讨论室？你是要开学校的那个讨论室？
学校讨论这个，学校讨论这个，
上就是那个老师叫我们回答那个讨论室。
对啊，还是什么时候讲？
对，他等于让有些大概中小会纠结。这么机车，这么机车，对啊，他们要去买个东西，要很会纠结。那不就要等一下去那个什么活动吗？哇，他们这里要写那个这有问题。
学校电脑单到一个房子，这个东西我念。你说哪一个？假装都没有东西。档案自己去烧的。
是吗？
不知道去烧吗？
还是你去找？
因为我
这样。那个好像700。等回去看的话，因为我记得我下载200多。
我那个，因为我这也是700，
我再去看看。
那你要去哪边烧啊？
我电脑不可以了。
今天我帮你点，
我再去买。
可是今天他讲，
我等我等下考完试了再。 回来就是你去烧，烧然后在学校上，那可以上，我房间这当然就是。
上面是有写的啊，他说要写负责人，好好写负责人，还有这个感恩。要用 CD 哦。你们有 CD 吗？没有。我这边还有一片空白的，所以你们看要不要用？可以吗？要不要？你有没有想到？因为我就要说了，我刚好带2片啊。不知道，你哪个说？好，你要付多少？20块啊。要人家买饮料。反正你在想，我应该也是拿没有错。20块。他给了。
Alright. I talked about how your slide shouldn't be just all text. And the way to avoid the all text is, again, from what we did last week, key message. I did it for you, but you can actually do it for anything else, which is, what is the most important information you need to make something? Alright, so here's an example a friend of mine who's a professional speechwriter gave. Alright, if we looked at a good TED Talk again, let's say your text looks like this. You know, a good TED Talk should what? Should offer new value, new insight to the audience, something they never heard before, blah, blah, blah. 2, should be passionate, authentic, blah, blah, blah. Should be stories, examples, blah, blah, blah. If, in your presentation, I showed you this slide, and I started reading, again, 2 things. 1, most of you wouldn't be listening to me. Most of you are just reading the slide. Okay? 2, if I have to read the slide, that means my back is to you. Which means when I'm talking, I need a microphone because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the whiteboard. The whiteboard does not care. Okay? So, when you come up with your bullet points, when you come up with your main ideas, think about what is the most important information. What are the key words from your paragraph? In this case, it's almost always the very first part. My key words is a good TED Talk should what? Should offer new value. Should be passionate and authentic. Should use stories and examples. Okay? So, this is it. Now I went from a big wall of text to 3 phrases, 3 sentences. Alright? I can do even better than that. 1 point, 1 slide. This is beyond the 10, but it still fits. If I have 3 main points, again, I don't want to put lots and lots of information. If it's important, make people feel it's important. Alright? New and valuable. Picture, phrase, new and valuable. That's it. If I talk about why new and valuable is important, that should come from my mouth. It should not come from my PowerPoint. Say, I talk about passion and authenticity. Picture, passion and authenticity. Now, explanation from your mouth. Don't write it. Say it. Finally, stories and examples. Again, picture, phrase. Very simple. Say it. Do not read it. Okay? Now, I can do this 1 slide, 1 point. I can also do this 1 page. Keywords plus photos. So, here. Everything there. Again, I only have 3 points. I don't want you to read my 3 points. I want you to listen to my 3 points. So, picture, phrase, picture, phrase. And again, same as I did with the earlier speech. 1 by 1. I talk about this first. Now I talk about this. Now I talk about this. Okay? And notice, as I go, gray, gray, gray. Because what is color is what I want you to see. But I don't want you to go and count, oh, how many hairs does she have? Oh, her teeth are so white. She has 1, 2. I don't want you to spend time on my picture. I want you to, again, quick phrase. Photo to prove. Now listen. Photo. I'm going to talk about this. Now listen. I'm going to talk about this. Now listen. Again, your PowerPoint's job is to help you. Your PowerPoint is not supposed to do your job. If your PowerPoint is like a book, email it to your professor and then go home. Your PowerPoint should be about you. Alright? Another way to do this. Again, photos. Make a point. Happy fat. This is from an actual PowerPoint slide. Alright? You can go the other way. You don't want to always go horizontal. You can go this way. Alright? Notice though, all these pictures are probably not green. My friend used a filter to make them green. Why? So they look comfortable. This is not that complicated. You only have to make this one time. Same as I showed you before. I made it one time. And every time, change picture, change word. Change picture, change word. 30 seconds. Pretty slide, you're finished. Alright. Another option, icons. And I'll show you a very good website to get icons. This used to be the UN's goals on sustainable development. This is what it looked like. Horrible. Why? Because if you went onto the UN's website and said, I wonder what they will do about recycling, and you saw this, you'd be like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to read that. So, the UN was very smart. On their website, this. This is their goals. Very simple, very clean, very quick, easy to read. Went from end poverty in all forms by 20 extreme, blah, blah, blah. Who cares, okay? Look, no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being. Icons, very simple, clean, easy to read. Same with your presentation. Again, this, everyone must read. Now it's really boring and you're giving me homework. This is, I say, the first goal of the UN is no poverty. We will do this by blah, blah, blah. Say it. Number 2, our goal is this, but very clean, very simple. I'll show you where to get icons like this for free very quickly. Okay. This was his. Yeah, so here's what my friend did. Okay. Again, Silicon Valley Innovation System. This is what a scientist in Taipei wrote. All this. And this is what he wanted to show. He wanted to give a presentation, but alright, number 1, many Silicon Valleys, no, don't care. Okay? So, simple. Exit strategy. Angel investment. Education. Very clean. Very simple. Okay? Alternate background images. Again, here's another way. Your words, key point, photo. Very simple, very pretty. I want to talk about natural disaster. Natural disaster, storms. Natural disaster number 2, flooding. Natural disaster number 3, landslide. Natural disaster number 4, tsunami. Number 5, earthquake. Again, keyword, photo. All your PowerPoint should be keyword, photo. No sentence, no paragraph, no text. Keyword, photo. Alright, again, this may look kind of fancy. You can do this very, very fast. Very quickly. You set it up one time. In fact, you set up this slide, and then you go backwards. You change picture, delete. Change picture, delete. Change picture, delete. You make it once, you can do it again in 5 minutes. All right. This is another way to show your point. Keyword, picture. All right. And this is Bill Gates' talk from TED. Same idea. Here's his key point. Here's a photo to prove. Next key point. Key point, photo to prove. This is something presenters use all the time. Why? Bill Gates may be a wonderful technologist, but if he makes you watch a movie, he doesn't need to talk. So, his point is talk. Here's my key point. Here's what I want to show you. Okay? Key point. Show you. That's it. Alright. This one is quite fancy, but a lot harder to do. So we're going to start. Or, you can rethink how you show a list. Again, you're going to show a lot of numbers. You can use very quick graphics. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can follow that when we talk about it. Let's talk about a different one. You can also use highlight graphs. I did this for storytelling. This is a bit easier. Again, it's very simple. And you just have to make it once. If I want to talk about my journey, I talk about the next slide, then I highlight. Talk about the next thing, and I highlight. Why? Because here, I don't want to show you the whole picture. I will show you important. So this is red. This is red. This is red. But very simple. I don't need to change fancy pictures. I don't need to highlight, spin around, fade out, zoom, fly in. Highlight, highlight, clean, pretty, easy to read. Okay. You can organize lists, or you can make a, simple infographic. Show your slides. Again, it's not flying in, it's not spinning, it's anything. It's just there. What's key? You can have some fun. If you become better using PowerPoint, you can enjoy it. So this is a company who makes a security system. So here is how I make the slide. What's important? Detect threats ahead of time, system to react, verify nature of the threat to see between real danger and false alarm. Move quickly to intercept the threats, be able to quickly and effectively destroy the threats. Okay? If you have to read this, it's a little boring, it's not very interesting. Alright? Have fun. Use a dog. Guard dog. What does a guard dog do? He can smell or hear threat. He can detect threat. He can see to verify the threat. He can move to intercept with his legs to get there. And finally, destroy threat with the mouth. Make an analogy. And again, very simple. There's no sliding, running around fun. But dog. Key point, key point, key point, key point. Main point, easy to see. Other point, grayed out. This is just very simple design. Again, your PowerPoint doesn't need to have sound, doesn't need to have flash, it doesn't need to move. It just needs to be clear. It can be pretty, but it needs to be clear. Okay? So, this was designed by a good friend of mine who's a professional speechwriter and presenter in Taipei. He keeps a blog and a Twitter based on how to do a lot of different speech. Basically how to give speeches. So he talks about things like how to create the why. For example, when we said, ask a question, create a key message, he talks about how do you start with the right why. What are the two major problems most people have when they give a presentation? 1, too much information. 2, too little information. And he talks about how to see that. So if you have time, he's a very good speechwriter. He mostly writes in English, but he is Taiwanese, so he does occasionally write his blogs in Chinese as well. Check it out, Podium Wisdom. You can actually just go podiumwisdom.com, then you can find it. Alright. Oh, I was talking earlier, icons. Most wonderful website in the world if you want to use simple icons. So you don't need to switch and find pictures. Anything you want to find in the world for free. So for example, Christmas is coming up. If I want to find icons about Christmas, then I would search Christmas, and then I can download, Christmas balls, I can wreath, bell, star, stocking, tree. It's all free. It's called the Noun Project. The Noun Project. But if you ever need icons for your presentation, very simple, fast, free, you can find everything you need for your PowerPoint presentations. Okay. I'll go through these quickly. I sent all the links to your professor. She will share them with you later. Okay. If you need information in Chinese, you go on Facebook and you search University Students Play with Presentation. It's college presentation. You can search in Chinese. This is a group out of, I think, Taida. But it's actually college students that try and teach other people how to make very beautiful, simple presentations. But again, their presentations are not about flash and design and, oh, that was not what I wanted. To be fancy, their presentations are about how to create very clear, very simple, using icons or using other things to make it, to show what you want to do. A lot of their information is free online, and you can also get a lot of templates and ideas. But they're quite good at changing that idea of how to design templates to be pretty. Alright? Another very good one, he's not necessarily a presentation designer, but he's good at it. This is also, I think, I want to say he's in Taipei too, Taipei or Taichung. Possibility. But he's someone who talks about, skills and things that students should learn. He's also a student in order to improve themselves. But his presentations are really quite pretty as well. So, and he's someone who spends a lot of time, how do you make something very simple but effectively pretty? You can get a lot of ideas and templates and things from these two. And they're all in Chinese, so it's very easy to see. Alright. Again, these links I'll send to your professor, so they're both quite good at this. Okay? Alright, let me talk about something else real quick. Oh, I'll share this and then I'll talk about why. Pictolicious. I'll talk about the power of 3. When you design a presentation, everything should be done in 3s. I'll explain that in a second. Most importantly is, when you design a presentation, use only 3 colors. Only 3 colors. Black and white don't count. Technically, you will have 5 colors. Black and white don't count. But when you design something, do not make every color of the rainbow. Different words, different colors, different pictures, 3 colors. When you make 3 colors, it's simple, it's clean, it's pretty. Alright? If you have trouble deciding which 3 colors, there's a wonderful website called Pictolicious. And what Picticulous. What it does is you can upload any photo you want, and it will tell you the 5 most important colors from that photo. So for example here, I downloaded a picture of a sunset. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Downloaded a picture of a sunset. I will upload the picture, and then Picticulous will actually tell me what are the basic colors of this photo. So here are the 5 main colors from this photo. Again, black doesn't really count, so I can choose 3 of these colors to make my whole presentation. And these 3 colors will match this picture. So if I use this picture, I know what colors I can use so that my text, my design looks continuously pretty. Okay? So I'll talk about the power of 3 as well. Notice here, when he's making his PowerPoint designs, three colors. Actually, he only uses 2, teal and orange. But he can make these 3 colors work very well for him. Teal, white, orange. Only 3. Pictures, black and white. Okay? I'll talk about that really quick then. When you design a presentation, actually this is basic design ideas. Design anything. Follow the rule of 3. Okay? Rule of 3. Which means 3 colors. You should not use every color in the rainbow. You should design for your presentations 3 colors you will use. And I'll show you how to use them. Second, three fonts, 3 font sizes. Okay? Sometimes people like to, every different size, use a different font. Like, oh, I want to use Arial, and I want to use Helvetica, and then I want to use a Chinese font, and then I want to use Comic Sans. Don't. 3 fonts. This includes multiple languages. If you use 1 font in Chinese, use 1 font in English. Then you can choose another, either Chinese or English. 3 fonts. I'll show you why in a second. This is something most people ignore, but actually, from a design purpose, very important. 3 font sizes. And your font sizes should match. Okay, here's what I mean. When you design your PowerPoint, you need to find a font that people can read. You should start with the smallest font that other people can read. So, for example, when you write a paper, you probably use 12 point. For a presentation, this is way too small. This is also why you don't write a paragraph. Because if you write a paragraph, you have to use this, and it's very small and you cannot read it. Alright. Usually, probably the smallest font you can get away with is 15. It's still very small. I don't recommend it. But, by using power of 3, you should use 3 font sizes, and they should all be divisible by each other. So, if I use 15 is my text, my smallest, the next size font I should use should be 30. The next size up above that should be 45. Why? All of these can be divided by 15. 45 divided by 15, 3. Divided by 15, 2. Divided by 15, 1. This seems like it's not important, but in design, this is very important. Our eyes like things that are consistent. Even it will just help you feel calmer if it's divisible. So say, if I want to say, use a font size of 20, my next font size should be 40, and my next font size should be 60. This will only be used for title. For example, like I showed you, 1 slide, 1 question. You can use 60. 40 would be maybe I have a heading, like things I like, heading, 40. And then 20, number 1, number 2, number 3. Always divide this way. You can mess with this. If I say like 18, 36, and then, why did I go completely blank on what shit? The next one, 52 even. Yeah, 52. Okay. Always make it somewhat divisible by itself. This will just make it cleaner. Sometimes people are like, oh, I need to fit a little more, so like, I'm going to have a weird 17.5 font. And then here, I have a lot of room, so I'm going to have like a 93 font. And then, oh, I don't need, and then you'll have like a 72, you'll have a 60, you'll have like a 43, and then like a 31. In your presentation, even you try to make it look beautiful, just because you have 6 different text sizes, you will always feel it doesn't work. And it has nothing to do with the size of your pictures, it doesn't have to do with the words. It's just that nothing looks the same. So, rule of 3. 3 fonts, 3 sizes. Decide. Always decide this first. Always decide this first. Because if you decide this and then go small, it causes a problem. Find out what is the smallest text you can use, and then just go up. Okay? The only time you run into this is maybe my main page. You only use 1 time. Maybe my main page is going to be like 90. But this is like my introduction page. That's it. Never use it again. You should be your main. When I say use 3 colors, also think about how you're going to use the colors. Think about how you're going to use the colors. My company colors, so I always use the same colors. Blue, green, and white. Also, I use red or orange for a different reason. But these are my company colors. So you will find almost all my presentations use these colors. You can choose whatever colors you want, but again, choose 3. But how I use these colors is also different. So, this is my slide, you can see that. When I do something like, I ask a question, or when I am talking, I will use blue as a background. Okay. When I am talking, I will use blue as a background. When I do an activity, and actually if you remember back to the things we did before, when I do an activity, I'll use green as a background. This is for me as well as it is for the audience. This helps me remember what I want to do. If I am talking, my background is always blue. When I want you to do something, my background will always be green. Be consistent with this. So, same. If I will do that again, I will have all these things, green background, which means, guess what? I want you to do something. Green background, I want you to do something. Green background, I want you to do something. Okay? Blue background, I am talking. This becomes useful. Audiences learn this. You don't need to stand up there and be like, okay, it's time, it's green background, so you need to do it. If you're talking for a long time, people will just learn this. So, choose that. You can choose, again, a solid color. You can choose just one color and background. Could be white. White could also be your color of I am talking. Black can be your color of I want you to think. So I'm going to talk, and I want you to think. Or you can separate it like, this is me talking, this is me, please look. You can also use a color, using bright colors, oranges, yellows, reds, when you want them to look here. So normally my color is blue because I'm talking, but red means please look at the number. Please look at the slide because it's important. Okay? Design your colors this way. 3 colors. Think of, usually it's this way. 2 colors that are really soft. 1 color is very bright. The 1 color for bright is please look at it, it's very, very important. The 2 soft colors is 1 is I am talking, 2 is maybe something else. 1 color is please look, it is very important. Okay? I'll show you. Andrew does this as well. Notice, here, when he is explaining something, he's using this gray background. When he is making an example, he uses white. Every time he makes an example, it's white. Every time he is talking, it's gray. Oh, this is the reason why he has so much text is because this is SlideShare, and I'll show you that in a second. This is a website owned by LinkedIn, but if you ever want to see other ideas about presentation or people's ideas, you can just look at presentations for free. Get a lot of design ideas, you can learn some interesting things. Usually the top slide shares are the prettiest. So if you're ever interested in finding other information, sometimes it's in Chinese, usually it's in English. LinkedIn. But you can also find a lot of information. Okay, SlideShare. Again, I shared this with your professor, so she can share it with you as well. Okay. But even in the SlideShares, again, 3. He's talking, he has an example, then pretty picture. 3 designs, that's it. Talking, example, pretty picture. These are his 3 samples. If you do things in 3, it helps you to organize as well. Helps you to organize as well. Okay. We have a little bit of time left. You can turn on your computer. I'm going to show you a few simple things you can do in PowerPoint to make your stuff prettier without spending a lot of time. learn how to use it in Chinese. That's not exciting. They don't have that here. What's that? Alright, if you open PowerPoint, I will show you a few things that I love. Alright, when you start a PowerPoint, simplest thing to do. Most people will like go here, somewhere in here, if I remember. Okay, the Chinese, and they'll choose a template. Like, oh, they'll choose this. Okay, don't do that, please. Alright, here's why I don't do that. Number one, just go away. You don't need any of this. Because again, when we start, what you should do is just create 10 slides. And slide number 1 is going to be with no text, apparently. Alright, so you have to learn how to use the Chinese one. Okay. Slide number 1 is introduction. That's it. Okay. Slide number 2 is going to be about what's the problem. Design your slides this way again. Think about your outline. Okay? Think about your outline. So think about your outline. Alright, so again, think about your font sizes as well. So 18 is really, really quite small. So I'm going to bump this up and I'm going to call it 25. Alright, 25 is a little easier to read. Alright, few things. One, Comic Sans is a terrible, terrible, terrible font. Please never use it. Okay? Please never ever use. This is not okay. Second font that please never use, Arial. Why? Because it's the default font for Microsoft Office. So most companies, actually this is the easiest way to see if a company spent money on design or not. Check their font. If their font is Arial, they spent no money. Because this is just like some poor college student like you that said, quick, make a brochure. And you went, oh, okay. Okay. Few fonts that I really tend to like. One is Lucidifax, which tends to be a Times New Roman font. It's a little different than Times New Roman. This is if you want to look quite formal. If you want it to look very formal, you can use Lucidifax. Here, we're going to bump this thing up. So you can see. Alright. Another font which is not on this computer, unfortunately, Avenir. Avenir is not on here, so I'm so sad. Anyway, Avenir is a much cleaner font. It looks a lot like Helvetica. Okay? It looks a lot more like this. If you're just presenting simple information, because it's very rounded, it tends to feel a lot softer. Things like Times New Roman looks very serious and official. So, think about how you want people to see your presentation. If you want them to see it very serious and official, fonts can change that feeling. It seems really simple, but seriously, a font can change a feeling. You use Times New Roman, or you use something like Lucidifax, because it's very sharp and edged, people will assume your presentation is quite serious. If you use something that's along the lines of Helvetica, it tends to be more rounded. People will relax when they see this font. Okay? So, think about your fonts as well. Now, I was talking about fonts before as well. Font size. This is, okay. Oh, in Chinese, I don't know if I can do this as well. Where is the justification tab? Alright, never mind. So if I had my computer, this would be much easier and prettier. But we'll just line these up in a second. Okay. So, if this for me is a good heading font, like I want to put it up here to ask a question, then 60 is a decent heading size font. That means that probably I need to go a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to 80. So 80 is now my title font, 60 is my heading font, and we're going to call you 40 is my text font. What's that? See if I could justify this on my computer, it'd be so much prettier. Anyway, ignore that. But everything is divisible by 20 now. Just visibly, this becomes a lot prettier. Just visibly, this becomes a lot prettier. Again, I can change this however I want. If I want to use 75, so you can use a little bit of math even if you're not, a math person. 40 or 50 and 25. Okay? Everything is divisible by 3. When you create your font, it will just look much prettier. Okay? I don't know why I just want to do that. So, think about your 3 fonts. Again, because depends, you will know how big your projection screen. You always know that. Always decide this one first. If you feel this is too small, bump it up. So, okay, we're going to call this 30. So if this is 30, then I'm going to call this maybe 60, and I'm going to call this 90. Okay? Decide what is the smallest font you want to use. Okay? So, quite simple. And then outline. Again, what's the problem? What's the solution? Key message and stuff. Alright. If you want to design something like this, where you follow, eventually you get your questions, you get your filling answer. Actually, you don't start here. You start here. Build your last slide. Why? Because if I want to copy-paste 5 times, now, to go backwards, I click on the next one, and click on you, and I delete. And then I click here, and I go delete. And then I go here, and I go delete. Okay? Always make your last slide last, or last slide first. And then, when you go back and delete, okay? Now you can change my photo. So now here, I just copied and pasted 5 times, and I now have my list. And now all I have to do is go back, okay, here, this becomes green, although I don't have the right green, and then here, this becomes green, this becomes green, this becomes green, okay? So now, again, I can follow. Oh, I don't know how to do that one. There you go. Alright. Start backwards. Alright, 2, this is actually a very simple set of 3 things. This is an overlay, a gradient. These are my texts. This is my photo. It's only 3 things. Only 3 things. The way that I get this is I use a gradient. Ooh, I'm not going to have shape format. Okay. So. So sad because I don't know how to do this on this computer. And in Chinese. Exciting stuff. No. Alright, so step 1, know what language you are usually using. I need the format pane. This is not the format. Yeah, there should be a way that shows me what colors these are, and that I can change it. And I don't know where that's that's all the styling colors. It's not with the outline color. This is a fill color. There is my pretty picture thing. No, that is not what I want. Aha, here we go. Gradients. Yeah, gradients. Okay. Alright. You can use this function, which is gradient. Most people use gradient, they use it and it's really horribly ugly and they choose like 16 different colors to like follow by, and then no one understands what's happening, right? Because it's like weird. Alright? This is how most people think of gradient. But gradients can be very, very useful in that you can set a transparency. So for example here, I'm hiding this guy. So I create a gradient fault that hides him. Why? Because this is where my words go. If my word is here and I show this guy, then I cannot see anything. My word disappears. So I can use my gradient to cover him up. Okay? Go away. Alright, so I can use my gradient to cover him up and show my word. I have a middle gradient here because if I get rid of this, it does this thing. Okay? Now I can't really see her. So I set a middle gradient, and I choose around 50 to 35%. Usually works out. Oh god, come back. Okay. So I can adjust that. And then this one is 100% I can see. Alright? So now I can change that. I can go 50%, and then I won't be able to see as much. I can see them through. I really got to stop clicking them. So I can use gradients to change my photos. This becomes very useful, for example, if my photo is too short. Maybe my photo is only here. Okay? I can use a gradient. If I have a clear-cut line here, it's not as clean, it's not as pretty. So I can use my gradient to fix that. I can use my gradient to fix that. I can go, here we go. I can change my gradient to fix this problem. Alright? Now it looks a little smoother. I don't have just a line cut off. Alright? Gradient becomes quite useful. Alright, another place that this becomes very useful, transparency. I'll show you that one. Wait, this is, yeah. Alright, this is just a transparency box. So when I choose my fun and cool pictures, alright. If I decide to change my color, and this is a shape format. Yes. Okay, good. Alright, cool. So, if I want to change these things, if I want to change the color of this, you can do it just basic colors. But again, if you have just a solid color, like this, how did I earlier? Here we go. If I just choose a solid color with 0% transparency, you cannot see what's happening behind it. If what's happening behind it is important, you can just simply change the transparency. So here I'm just going to use 20 and black. I don't know why it became black, but I mean there's a transparency so that I can see myself behind. All right. this becomes important, for example, if I don't want to cover something up. Maybe I say it here. I want to put leadership because my photo. But if I put down here, step one, use your own computer, it's much easier. If I put it here, it's a little harder to read. It's a little harder to read. So there's a really easy way to fix that, which is just create shapes. Oh, I don't like that shape. I want to use this shape. I'm going to create a shape here. Create a shape like this, and it's going to be horribly ugly and outline. Okay, no outline. Outline is bad. Okay? And I'm going to choose a color that I think people can see pretty clearly. And then I am going to change my transparency. So like 20. Alright, I can kind of see my leadership. Your leadership. Fun. Your leadership. Why are you doing that to me? Alright, where is bring to front? What an exciting thing. Yes? No? The first one? Alright. I want this to be in the front. What do I make it in the front? First one? First one? Alright, you are in the front. Now I put you in the back. Okay? Pops out a little more. This is still not necessarily the prettiest thing in the world, so actually I want no outline. And I can adjust my transparency. But if I use this style, I can put it over things and I can still see. Okay? So, if you end up with text that's very hard to see, you can use this to fix. You don't even need my background to be that obvious. You can make this much harder to see. And it still highlights. Alright, this is the same idea that it's this. It's the same idea here. Again, if I just wrote stories and examples over this picture, I will not be able to see it. But if I put in just a quick highlight and a little bit of design, I can see it and it's much more pretty. Right. So, again, PowerPoint design is not just about how to make things flashy, make it fly in, make it spin around and highlight. Use design, use colors, use shapes to highlight what you want. Again, same as he did here. Why orange? Because it's easy to see. That's it. He chose a nicer orange, but the entire point of orange is read this. Read this, and we're done. That's all. Right? Alright. Basically, there's a lot of courses out there you can get on PowerPoint design or Keynote. If you use a Mac, use Keynote. You can find them everywhere. My recommendation is really take a course. Coursera has them for free, or in Taipei, Taichung, or Kaohsiung. Hainan probably too. You can find someone teaching a PowerPoint slide design course. It's probably worth your time. Why did I say that? This is not a skill you will only use in university. This is a skill that will really last you the rest of your life. Not just design, but presentation. So, if you think something is worth spending money, spend money on a skill that will last you a very long time. Presentation is definitely one of them. So if you ever see one, go take a PowerPoint design class or a Keynote design class. You will be surprised how simple design can be, but when you give a presentation in your job or you give a presentation in your school and you do better than anyone else, your teacher or your boss will take you much more seriously, just because you took the time to make it look nice and to make it look clean. Right? It's definitely a skill worth investing in. Alright. That is all for today. Like I said, all the slides and the resources I have sent to your professor. She will share with you after. If you have any questions, you can come ask me, or you can message your professor or message myself. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening. Enjoy.
Okay, this thing needs to be in